6 days after the midterm elections, and some Democrats are already talking 2020. West Virginia State Senator Richard Ojeda lost his House bid last week and announced a White House bid today. Senator Sherrod Brown won a third Senate term in Ohio last week, carrying a state that Donald Trump won in the last election. Today, he told the Columbus Dispatch he's thinking about running. And here's what Senator Kirsten Gillibrand said on The View this morning.
You have another, how many years left on your term as a senator? Six more years.
Yeah.
6 more years.
Yes.
Okay, so are you staying in the Senate or are you going to run for president?
Well, I'm obviously very dedicated to serving New Yorkers, but that is a very important moral question that I've been thinking about.
And joining me now, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat from New York. She has a new book out called Bold and Brave, 10 Heroes Who Won Women the Right to Vote. It is a children's book, if I'm not mistaken. I'm excited to give it to my daughter. She's very into this genre. So you said this morning, earlier today, you talked about thinking about the question of running for president.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious, what does that mean in real terms? Like, what are you thinking about? What's going through your mind?
Well, to me, it's really a moral question. And I do believe that I believe in right versus wrong, and unfortunately, up until this election, I really believed that wrong was winning. And so as I traveled the state, as I traveled the country, I really saw the response and the effect of all the hate that Donald Trump has put into this country over the last 2 years. And it's so disturbing. And it's really called me personally to fight as hard as I possibly can to restore that moral compass. Because the truth is, this country was founded on really core principles, that we care about one another, that we believe in the golden rule, that you should fight for other people's kids as hard as you fight for your own. And I feel that that's been crumbling and lost under this presidency. So I've been thinking about it, and I am going to reflect on whether this is something that I should do, because I feel like all of us have to decide what we're going to do to restore what's been lost, and I just have to think where I can do that best from.
So what is that calculation? I mean, because there's a sort of moral question, and there's a bunch of tactical questions, a bunch of organizational questions. What's the sort of yes/no threshold?
So for me, it's whether this is what I need to be doing. It's sort of, are you prepared at a time such as this to do something that's very hard and difficult, regardless of whether you will win, regardless of whether it's easy, but you're doing it because out of that moral conviction. And so for me, the sole thing I have to consider, that I have to think long and hard about, is whether this is what I'm called to do. And otherwise, I just, I will continue to fight as hard as I can for New Yorkers and be a voice for them in Washington, and fight for the middle-class families that are desperate and need health care as a right, and all the other issues that are pressing on families in my state.
It's interesting. So you talked about the sort of moral degradation of this 2 years of this presidency, and I think there's sort of different ways of viewing both this presidency and what the kind of defining issue going into 2020 is. One is this president, this individual represents something particularly insidious for America, for American politics. And the other, which was kind of the way that a lot of people ran in this midterm, was running against basically like the Republican agenda. Like, it was like they were running against Paul Ryan, even though Donald Trump was the top of the ticket. What do you think of those two avenues?
But it's also about what you're for. So if you believe in this moral compass, if you believe in this core value that we should care about one another, that we are a brother's keeper, that you should treat others the way you want to be treated, that's why we fight for health care as a right and not a privilege. It's why we want, good early childhood education for every child, no matter which block they grow up on, or universal pre-K, or good public schools, or debt-free college. It's why that anybody who wants to be working full-time should have that training, whatever the training is, to get them that full-time job so they can earn their way into the middle class. Because fundamentally, we believe the constitutional democracy we have was meant that anyone should be able to reach the American dream: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness for all. So that's why the moral frame is so important, because everything you're fighting for, your vision for what America should look like, is so different. But the one issue, Chris, that I think is so encompassing is you have to get the money out of politics. You can't achieve any of these basic rights, these basic protections, until you take on the drug companies. You can't get to universal health care that's affordable unless you take on the drug companies, unless you take on the insurance companies. You can't build the kind of support that people need until you take on the special interests. So the best thing we could do is focus on getting money out of politics, having publicly funded elections, restoring voting rights. I mean, we're seeing what's happening in Georgia, what's happening in Florida, what's happening across this country, where our right right to vote is being fundamentally undermined.
There's talk about the House Democrats bringing that up as a first bill, some sort of strengthening the Voting Rights Act, automatic voter registration nationwide. What do you think of that?
Well, they should, because we should have automatic voting. We should be able to have same-day registration, early voting. You should be able to mail in a ballot no matter what at any time.
By the way, New York is terrible on all
Terrible. And so we
I say as a New York voter.
Yeah, and we need proper redistricting. In 2020, you need to have nonpartisan redistricting by a commission, not by governors and legislatures who all decide different things, and almost always it's still political. That's wrong. So we need to restore our democracy to the people. It's about what this democracy is supposed to stand for, and with all the attacks on voting rights, it's not one person, one vote. With all the attacks on money and politics, people with money have an outsized influence, the special interests. The bill is written in the dark of night. It just never ends.
Let me ask you a New York question. Chuck Schumer, the senior senator from your state, I would imagine you would call him a friend and an ally and a colleague. A lot of people, there's all this Nancy Pelosi, like everyone gets asked the Nancy Pelosi question in every House race. You're going to vote for her for Speaker. No one ever talks about Chuck Schumer, but, it seems to me a legitimate question. Like, do you have confidence in Chuck Schumer's leadership ability?
I do, and I'm definitely voting for Senator Schumer.
You think he's the right man at the right time?
I do, and he's made a difference already. I mean, he fully understands the type of things we need to move forward for this country. I think he's going to marshal as best he can healthcare votes, education votes, jobs votes, things that actually help people, and I think he's committed to it.
Final question. There's a report, and I wanted to ask you this because I know that you've put a lot of energy towards veterans issues in your work in the Senate. There's a report about 82,000 service members right now, due to basically technical screw-ups at the VA, have not gotten payments for housing through the GI Bill. It's been massively deleterious to their lives. This was the kind of thing that Trump and others, ILO, will fix it. They ran up fixing it. Yeah, what's going on?
Unfortunately, our VA has been underfunded for a very long time, and the morass and the backlogs continue to harm our veterans. In my office, we work for veterans all the time, trying to get them pay that's deserved, benefits that were earned, making sure that they can get their medals if they never had them. We've been working night and day to try to get Blue Water Navy veterans, since I've been elected to the House, like for over 10 years, the basic health care that they deserve because they served during Vietnam and were exposed to all the Agent Orange toxins, but don't get treated like anybody else because they happen to be on a ship or an aircraft that was also, they not only took the water and drank it, but they bathed in it and they cooked in it, which we now know concentrated those toxins. And so our veterans need a voice. And so I will try very hard, as will my colleagues, to make sure we fix the problems at the VA so they can get their housing and get their benefits.
All right, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, whose new book is Bold and Brave, 10 Heroes Who Won Women the Right to Vote. Thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you.
Thank you.
The president takes a rain check twice instead of honoring America's veterans. Congressman Ruben Gallego, who served in Iraq, joins me next. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.